Hello my dear sewing friends, it's Alisa here with Thoughtful Creativity, and for today we have a quick and easy and beautiful project, and I think it might be just what you need for your winter wardrobe. And just to get your creative juices flowing, I have two examples over here to give you a little hint of what are we going to be making today. So this one was actually made by my mom years ago, and I wear it with love every single winter season. And this one I just finished about, I don't know, 30 minutes ago or so for my little baby girl, and that's exactly what we're going to be making today. We're going to be making a vest. You will get away with using just about a yard, maybe a yard and a half of fabric, and then just about an hour, maybe an hour and a half of your time. As I said, quick, easy, and beautiful. So let's get started. To begin with, let's draft our pattern, and to do that we want to start with the actual length of the garment. We're going to measure our back first. You take your measuring tape, you place it on the very center edge of your back neckline, and then you drop it all the way to your tailbone, just like this. Put your finger on your tailbone mark, and that's the measurement that's going to go on your pattern paper, and for me it's 21 inches. Now take this length measurement and divide it in 3 equal parts that will roughly mark our bust, our waist measurement, and our hip lines at the tailbone. Next step is to measure our bust. You want to take your measuring tape, put it all the way around your bust, and you want to make sure that it's nice and even and nothing slips away. So you want to make sure that it looks like this and not like this, for example. So place it evenly around your bust. And you don't want it to be too tight, you don't want it to be too loose, you want to have just right measurement. And you do want to measure it on top of your undergarments and a top, because the vest is going to be a garment that you're going to be wearing on top of something. And then once you have your measurement, take it away, and then we're going to use 1/4 of this measurement, and we're going to put it on your bust line on your pattern paper. For this next step, we're going to be doing exactly the same to our waist. You put it around, you want to make sure that it's nice and even, not too tight, not too loose. Take it away, 1/4 of that measurement is going to go on your pattern paper. Exactly the same thing is going to apply to the hips. However, since we did measure the length of the actual garment till the tailbone, you want to measure your hips at the tailbone. You don't want to measure your hips lower, because we did not measure the pattern till that point. You want to measure your hips, the width of your hips at the tailbone. And once that is done, you take it away, and 1/4 of that measurement is going to go on our pattern paper. And here I apologize, I actually made a little mistake. I accidentally looked at the wrong line on my measurement chart, so I'm just going to make my hip line 1 inch longer, what it's supposed to be. And by the way, if you are a member of this channel, then you do get an instructional sheet for this project. And if you're interested in becoming a member, which is a paid function, then you can click on the join button, and it will tell you everything you need to know about what it is to be a member of Thoughtful Creativity, or you can also check out the link in the info box below. So now let's measure our shoulders, and what you want to do is you want to make sure that you don't measure a drop shoulder. You want to measure edge of the shoulder to the edge of the shoulder, because we don't want our vest to slip off our shoulders or to be oversized. We want it to hit right over here at the edge of the shoulders, and that's how you want to measure it. So take your measuring tape, place it like this. You can also place it on the back, whichever way is more convenient for you. And then, as I said, edge of the shoulder to the edge of the shoulder. Once you have your measurement locked in, you take it away, fold it in half, and half of that measurement, that's what's going to go on your pattern paper. Now let's take care of the back neckline, and for the width of it I will take 3.5 inches, which is what I usually take in my tutorials. You're more than welcome to take your own width of the neckline. Just remember that you can always cut away but not add back. So if I were you, I would start smaller and then go bigger if you need to. Then from the edge of your neckline, take 1 inch up, and then from the edge of the shoulder line, take 1 inch down, and then connect those 2 points, which is going to make your shoulder line. Then with a dashed curved line, create the back neckline. Since the fabric for this vest is not going to be stretchy and this is quite a roomy project and not a skin tight project, let's add a little bit of ease to all three of our measurements. I'm going to add just about an inch because the vest is going to be open at the front, so that will create a little room for movement as well. So in this case, I'm just adding 1 inch to each of the measurements. Then drop your bust line by about 1 inch and we will start creating an armhole. However, I don't like my vest to be too roomy. If you would like the armholes to be wider, you can always drop it down by more than 1 inch. It just really depends on your preference. For the armhole, we will create a line that looks very much like a reversed letter J. Now remember, a vest is a pretty forgiving garment, so simple pattern drafting like this works great in this instance. Now, once all of that is done, let's connect the bottom of the armhole to the bottom hem of your vest. Now, you can just create a straight line, which will be totally fine, or you can curve it in a little bit. However, if you do have a big difference between the bust line, waistline, and hip line, do not curve it in all the way, because otherwise it will create too sharp of a curve, and once you sew, it will not look aesthetically pleasing. Alrighty, one last step and we will be done with drafting our pattern. So for the front of the vest, what I did is I took away 1 inch from the center of the hip line, waistline, and bust line, and then I draw a curved line to create the front opening of the vest, just like you see on your screens. And dear sewing friends, thank you so much from the bottom of my heart for all the thoughtful messages and get well wishes. As I said, I barely ever get sick at all, but if I do, it's kind of like one on top of another. And this time it was exactly that. So thank you so much for all the beautiful words and sweet wishes and everything else that you guys sent my way whenever I was really not feeling well. So thanks a lot. That helped, it just kind of that positive energy really helped, mentally just to kind of get through that time. So thanks a lot. I truly appreciate it. Once you are ready to cut, remember, you will cut 2 pieces of the front, you will cut 1 piece on the fold of the back, and then you will repeat the same steps for the lining of your vest. Here I was working with leftovers of some of the lining fabric that I already had, so I couldn't cut 1 back piece on the fold. Therefore, I cut 2 separate pieces, which I'm going to connect with a center back seam. The steps for sewing a vest are very, very simple. So let me show you how to do that on this little Sherpa vest, since it's going to be a little bit easier for you to see that in a smaller size. Therefore, everything would fit on camera. Now here's a little tip, dear sewing friends. If you're just not sure about drafting your own pattern, maybe you feel a little bit intimidated, then you can always cheat a little bit and copy your existing t-shirt. Now you want that t-shirt to be not too loose, not too tight. You want it to fit just right. And then copy that t-shirt, and I actually have a full video tutorial on how to do that successfully, and I will leave it somewhere up there. So if you want to, you can go do that and then come back to this tutorial and continue with us. Now first you're going to sew the shoulder seams on both the lining and your main fabric. And here I need to tell you that working with Sherpa was a lot easier than working with faux fur. So if this is your first time working with fluffy fabrics or fabrics that are a little bit different, then I would definitely go for Sherpa versus going for faux fur. Also, for the lining of this little baby vest, I was using a slightly stretched cotton that I got at Hobby Lobby. I just thought it would look so nice for a little baby girl, and also would be a little bit different than just, polyester lining. Now you will line up your lining and your main vest fabric sewn at the shoulder seams both, right sides facing, and then you will pin the front opening and the back neckline and the other front opening on the other side. You will pin it from one hem to the other hem, nice and neat, and then you will stitch it together. After this is done, in the same position without turning anything inside out or right side in, you will pin and place the armholes and stitch them together as well, lining and the main vest fabric. After that, use one of the shoulder seams to turn your vest right side out. Okay, so here are the last 3 steps of this project and we are done. So number 1, you will need to open the side seams and then match up the lining with lining and then your main vest fabric with your main vest fabric. Make sure that the side seams are matching and then pin it in place and sew it from one end to the other end, and do that on both sides of the vest. Number 2, once all of that is done, you will need to turn your vest right side in, and then we will pin it in place, the bottom hem, and you will need to make sure that you leave about 3-inch opening so that way you can turn it inside out. And then you will sew from one edge of the hem of the vest till about the middle, and then from the other edge of the vest till about the middle, leaving that 3-inch opening there. And the last step is a little bit of hand sewing. So after you sew your bottom hem and you leave that little opening, you turn your vest right side out, and then that little opening that you left, we will need to finish it with a little bit of hand sewing. So grab a needle and a matching thread and finish it up. And here I really want to take a moment and encourage you guys to take a look at this pattern in a different perspective. Have fun with it. You can do so many interesting things. You can make skinnier shoulders, you can make asymmetric front, you can make triangle front, you can make waterfall front, you can make it longer, shorter, crop version, add pockets, add invisible pockets on the inside, make it out of knit, make it out of Sherpa like I did for my baby girl. So many possibilities. Just have fun with it. You can also go on Pinterest or on Instagram and maybe look up some vests on internet shops and take a look inspiration there. So just have fun with it and really let your imagination loose and enjoy that process of creating something beautiful for yourself.